OK, so it's not quite an Apple turntable, but it's the closest you are probably ever going to get. Let's have a closer look. Nice. I'll put up some more pictures for you to salivate over as we go through the video. So why is this, or is not, an Apple turntable? Well, I'd put it like this. If Apple made a turntable, this would be it. If Apple made a turntable, then surely they would entice their former Chief Design Officer, Sir Jonathan Paul Ive, more casually known as Jony Ive, back to work for them, even if temporarily. A bit of history. In the 1990s, a generally dismal decade only exceeded in misery in living memory by the 1970s, Apple wasn't doing too well. This is why. Who'd want that? At one point, Apple even allowed other companies to make Macintosh-compatible computers. I know because I had one on loan for a while. It was red. And it was OK, I seem to remember, but I don't remember the brand. So, Apple needed a breakthrough product, and they got it in the form of the iMac. As a computer, there wasn't anything particularly out of the ordinary about the iMac, except that it was easy for home users to set up and use, which is the whole point of the Macintosh concept, if you remember. But what really made the iMac stand out was its looks, looking like this. Where previously computers had an appearance that was hardly anything more than functional and nearly always beige in colour, or lack of colour, the iMac really stood out at the time, and it was available in a range of colours, anything you like almost, apart from rose gold and space grey. And take a closer look. You can see inside. OK, it looks old-fashioned now, but when it first came out, it really was a breath of fresh air compared to the dreary functional units we'd had previously. And the design concept was created by Jony Ive, Sir Jony Ive. History records that Steve Jobs and Jony were best buddies, and Jobs said about him that he
has more operational power than anyone else at Apple except me.
Ive left Apple in 2019 to start his own design firm, Love From, and continued to work with Apple as a client until 2022. So, as we can see, Apple is almost as much Jony Ive as it is Steve Jobs. So that's why I can say that this is, almost, an Apple turntable. But it isn't an Apple turntable. It's better than that. It's a Lin Sondek LP12 with design features by Jony Ive. What's not to like? To quickly give you a bit of background on the Lin Sondek LP12, it first appeared in 1972. At the time, you could buy an adequate turntable or a very adequate turntable, and the feeling was that very adequate was good enough. But founder of Linn Products, Ive Tiefenbrunn, felt there was further to go. As he said,
Linn didn't invent the turntable. We simply understood that there was more information on an LP record than people were capable of accessing, so we applied our understanding of engineering to extracting it.
I think that's a reasonable philosophy. Why not? And the philosophy extends to continuous upgrades, many of which an owner could apply to their own turntable, rather than having to trade in. Also, why not? Now, it has to be said that this turntable doesn't come cheap, but for a hi-fi enthusiast, it's well within the realm of possibility. In its entry-level form as the Magic LP12, it will cost you just £3,700 Great British pounds, which is probably less than a tenth of what your entry-level electric car cost you. Or you can push the boat out a little further and buy the Climax LP12 from £25,100. Yes, from. That's still cheaper than your electric car. Whether it will ever be available through a PCP, I don't know. Is it worth it? I'll give you another quote, this time from Linn's current managing director, Gilad Tiefenbrunn.
You've got the recording, which to all intents and purposes is perfect. Hi-fi systems generally make that recording worse because they put bits of tech in the way of what you want to hear. But we just strive to eliminate noise and distortion from the signal path. Over the years, we've made thousands of improvements.
But it may be the case that you have more money to spend than 25,000 GBP, in which case, undoubtedly, you'll want the Jony Ive version, the almost Apple version of the LP12. It's called, imaginatively, the Lin Sondek LP12-50. I guess because it's 50 years-ish since the original Sondek. Among the sleek, good looks, you'll find the Jony Ive designed power and speed selector button, looking very much like the close and full screen buttons in a macOS window. You'll find Jony Ive designed hinges that allow the cover to sit at any angle. And you'll find other subtle Jony Ive designed aesthetic changes to enhance the unit's beauty. Oh, and Linn promises sonic improvements, including a plinth made from highly compressed layers of beechwood, which Tiefenbrunn describes as
phenomenal.
So, I suppose I need to come on to how much this is going to cost. Clearly, it's going to be more than the current top of the range at $25,000. Are you ready for this? From £50,000 GBP. From. And you'd better hurry because they're only making 250 of them. Is it worth the money? Of course not. £50,000 when you can get Spotify for less than a tenner a month. But that isn't the point. Owning something both functional and beautiful is part of the human experience, and most of us do exactly that, if generally at lower price points. So, if you're a hi-fi enthusiast and your hi-fi is as important to you as your specced out Tesla Model 3, then really, why not? And the depreciation will be much less, and you'll never run out of range. And just for fun, here are some comments from the real world.
Let's get Jony and Gilad in a room and blind test. Listen to a 250-pound turntable versus their 50K turntable. The odds are they won't be able to tell the difference. The problem is, how many times can 50-year-old technology be re-energized for the affluent 60-somethings wanting that perfect transcription of Dark Side of the Moon?
Unfortunately, it will sell.
Cynics. See you soon.